Stop talking. I had just unleashed my primal rage at my toddler, loud enough for the whole parking lot at Culver's to hear me. My wife and I were navigating grandparents and children into cars during the Sunday lunch rush. It was chaotic, overstimulated for a few minutes where everything was moving too fast and nobody was listening. The car fell silent and we rode home without speaking. I put the kids down for rest time and just reflected on what had just happened. Two things became clear. First, I'm not better than you. I write Faithful Fatherhood to do this work for myself and my family as much as anyone who might read it. Whatever I say here, I'm saying it from the parking lot, not from some lofty place above it. Second, that parking lot moment reminded me how far I was from where I wanted to be. Hello, my name is Jacob Pannell, and this is Faithful Fatherhood. Saint Teresa of Avila wrote a book in 1577. She called it The Interior Castle. It's a map of the soul's journey towards God, structured as 7 concentric mansions inside a crystal castle, with God dwelling at the center. Saint Teresa wrote during a period of cultural acceleration and alienation that rhymes uncomfortably with our own. The printing press did to her world what the algorithm is doing to ours right now. Her response was to explore inward, not to escape, but to find what was actually there. And that's why I'm connecting her work to fatherhood. The Manosphere offers men an exterior solution to an interior problem. Dominate more, earn more, take up more space. Those are all exterior things. St. Teresa offers the opposite move. She says the castle is already inside you. The question is, which room are you living in? And sometimes we aren't even inside the building. St. Teresa describes the area outside the castle as overrun with reptiles. To her, these represent worldliness, attachment to earthly honors, distractions, and devil snares. The soul that lives there isn't just distracted, it has reorganized itself around the wrong things. Real castles of her era often actually kept exotic animals on the exterior walls for amusement. These reptiles were a feature of castle life, not an anomaly. Now, I want to note a resonance St. Teresa couldn't have anticipated. The brainstem is nearly identical and is a nearly identical form across mammals, birds, and amphibians, and reptiles. And many anatomists actually call it the Reptilian Center. It governs some of our most primal responses: hunger, fear, aggression, and reproduction. And actually, every signal traveling to the rational part of our brain passes through this brainstem first. So, when a 16th century nun describes the outer edge of the soul as a place where reptiles live, and a modern anatomist describes our most defensive responses as coming from the Reptilian Center, there's a profound connection there. When I yelled in that parking lot, I was operating from the bottom of my brain. The root for me was fear. Get everyone safe now. And that part of me did exactly what it was built to do. It just had no business running the whole operation. The brainstem doesn't just take over, it narrows. When I yelled, my world collapsed into a single point. Every other truth, that my kid is 3, that my wife was doing her best, that I love all of these people, disappeared because the Reptilian Center doesn't do nuance. It does threat assessment. The Reptilian Center trains us to believe there is only one threat, only one thing that matters right now. And we mistake that urgency a lot for truth. So The soul is a crystal clear castle. It's not reducible to its worst moment or its loudest fear. Souls begin to approach the castle when they sense, even dimly, that there is more than this. The discomfort after yelling, the silence in the car, the sitting, the reflecting with what I'd done, that was me turning into Mansion 1. You can probably imagine how your reptilian responses derail your own progress. It's the same here. St. Teresa mapped it out almost 500 years ago. St. Teresa, so how do we get into the castle? Well, for St. Teresa, the gate to the castle was prayer and meditation. For the faithful father, we need to rely on our faith, just like St. Teresa was relying on her faith. It's not passive, it's not performed, but it's real mental engagement. Now, what does that mean? That means beginning the practice of self-knowledge. Usually that is linked to humility. So humility and self-knowledge are the first rooms. You don't get to skip them. We learn who we are for St. Teresa by looking at who God is. God's greatness illuminates our smallness, and somehow that doesn't crush us. It actually frees us. St. Teresa is actually working off of a framework that Jesus described back in his ministry. He told his disciples to go into their inner room, shut the door, and pray. This is the beginning of the castle's interior life. It's not mystical depths, but the first unglamorous act of turning around and going inside. After the parking lot, breathing and apologizing were not advanced spirituality. They're the crust of Mansion 1. That's the beginning St. Teresa is describing. Not arrival, just to turn. Here's what I want to be honest about. Mansion 1 is not a participation trophy. You enter it by beginning this practice of self-knowledge. Reptiles of worldliness are going to come in with you. They're going to disturb your peace, but you're inside. And that actually matters enormously. The difference between inside and outside the gate is not how spiritual you feel. It's whether you've begun to turn and gain some humble self-knowledge. Now, let's tie this all to our current moment. The algorithm didn't create our reptilian brains, but it has learned how to live there, and it has no interest in letting you leave. Sometimes that's rage in men, sometimes that's envy in women, reliably generated by the right content at the right moment. And the longer we stay activated, the longer we scroll, the more profit the algorithm generates. For a lot of fathers, our treasure satisfies the reptile. So when we reach for that phone, it's actually exposing that we are trying to satisfy our reptilian center, which means that's where we're actually living, in the crust of the first mansion. And that's actually regardless of where our bodies are. That's what our soul is doing. The Manosphere is a theology of outside the gate. It's designed to keep men reactive, defensive, and performing. The invitation of Mansion 1 is not self-improvement. It's not a morning routine. It's just turning around and doing something different. It's breathing when you want to keep going. It's apologizing to your child because you know something in you went wrong. It's walking toward a door you may have been ignoring for years. You don't have to build this castle. It's already inside you. Your faith is already at the center. The sun has not stopped shining. You just have to go inside. Where have you been living lately? And what would it take to walk through the gate and just experience Mansion 1? My name is Jacob Pannell, and this is Faithful